And let's talk about managing a transition or a change, especially those kind that come to you when you haven't been looking for it, you didn't initiate it, but someone imposes it upon you. Maybe it's a role change in your work. Maybe you got laid off. Maybe it's just time for you to move on, but someone else has sort of nudged you in that direction. I've been involved in both. I find William Bridges' work on transition really helpful, uh, kind of navigating any kind of change or the transition that, again, is kind of thrust upon us when you have to navigate certain steps, responses, emotions, challenges, what the future holds, what do we learn from the past, and so on. So I recommend his book just about to everyone I work with who's navigating such things. I'm working with a senior leader now in a large healthcare organization. It's kind of moving on, kind of moving out and into some new things. But what do you do in that in between time? What do you do when you're managing the tension of the transition? So I'm going to pick a couple things from Bridges' book and a few thoughts of my own thrown in there as well for you. Maybe this will be helpful. First, take all the time you need. Take all the time you can. Process things by pulling away a little bit. You may have to delegate some things, hand off some things before you sort of leave your last position or job or whatever before you enter the new. If you can start to hand some things off to give yourself some space and some time to say, what's happening? Why is it happening? What am I learning about it? What am I learning about me? Don't keep just plugging away at high speed up until the very end if you don't have to. Partly because it's a good time to sort of reflect on where you are and how you got here. Also, Bridges, for example, encourages us to build some structures or enter some structures during the time of ambiguity between the ending and the new beginning. He calls that the neutral zone in his work. I've mentioned it, I think, before on other posts. But what are the structures I can put in place? How I'm going to work my week? How I'm going to handle my day? Where am I going to put some time off? Where am I going to have little spaces of solitude just to reflect so I can take some notes, so I can interact with what's going on around me? So build some structures, time, places to be, ways of managing work that allow me to have some level of certainty, if you will, during a period of ambiguity. Another thing is, and Bridges says, don't act just to act. Don't start doing activity or new things or throwing things around. I'm working with a person, as I mentioned, who unfortunately has just moved too quickly into the future and isn't really processing the present or learning from the past. And I've been coaching him on that. He's getting better at it. But I said, okay, how's it doing with what we talked about last time? He said, I sent out a bunch of resumes. I've already got some interviews set up. And that's not all bad. It's just that he ran right to action. And I don't think he even really knows what he wants yet. He knows kind of. He knows it's in the large scheme of things in the healthcare space, but he's got all kinds of options. And I wonder if he's taking the time to really understand what's going to work for him. So self-care is another thing that comes up during this time. Am I taking care of self? Am I pulling back, getting rest? Am I doing some exercise, eating well? Am I not getting stressed out by the potential new and the ending of the past so that I'm eating poorly, sleeping poorly? Do what you can to handle yourself well during a time of transition. And then begin to explore the change. Look forward, but look at the change. What's happening in this change? What happens when you sort of take that look back? What have you learned about why those emotions are coming up? You're angry maybe because someone put this change on you, or you did not get to do the work you wanted to do and to bring it to completion. So there's a sense of loss or a sadness on, oh, I wish I could have. Maybe some regret in relationships that you didn't really get to rebuild or patch up or work on enough before you leave or before you move into a new area of a company or business or ministry or whatever you're involved in. But that sense of regret or incompletion sometimes is there. Like, I could have done better. I should have done more. And then the people side, how we handle that. So pay attention to that before you go. Patch up what you can. Meet with people, connect with people, do the right kind of work there. Anticipate the new. What could it look like? Start to get some clarity, not so much maybe the job if you don't have it yet, but the kind of work, the culture you want, the questions you want to ask, the environment you want to work in. Those things are really important when it comes to a time of transition. So as you look to the future, think in terms of culture and environment. What do I need to thrive in? And then look at the kind of person you want to be as you move into the new. Have you learned anything about yourself as a leader? Have you learned anything about your character? What triggers you? I work with leaders a lot on what are the triggers that set them off and keep them from being productive. And if you go into school in those things so that you don't bring them into the new. And then finally, just remember, a timeout is not time wasted. To pull back, take some time, to reflect, to do the things you need isn't wasted time, is not wasted at all. So I hope this is helpful for you as you manage transition from what's kind of ending but hasn't begun yet, and you're in that neutral zone, that sticky place, that place of ambiguity. Ask some of these questions, take some time to reflect, build some structure, take care of yourself, and have a great move into whatever it is for your future.